Hi, my name is Jessica and I'm an educator at the Living Coast Discovery Center. Today, I'd like to introduce you to an outdoor activity that is widely popular throughout Southern California, but many people have never heard of it. It's called herping. Have you ever been walking on a trail and seen a lizard scurry by? Or even a snake slither into the bushes? Herping is the act of going out into the wild and looking for reptiles and amphibians. While some of you avoid them at all costs, others seek them out. I want to take away the negative stigma of them being creepy, crawly, scary creatures and show you just how uniquely amazing they are. So stick with me and learn all about reptiles and amphibians. So, what is a herp? A herp is a group of animals that include reptiles and amphibians. Some examples of reptiles would be snakes, lizards, turtles and tortoises. Some examples of amphibians would be frogs, toads, salamanders, and a less known species, the Sicilian. Today I'm out in Hamul in search for reptiles and amphibians. Here we have the chaparral and riparian habitats, which is home to one species of lizard I'm in search for, the horned lizard. So let's go see what we can find. Part of the horned lizard's diet includes ants, like a local species we see here. So when I come across ants on a trail, I'm going to keep my eyes open for horned lizards in the surrounding areas, including these tall grasses. When looking for reptiles along a trail, make sure to look on both sides of the trail. Look down low under these tall grasses and big bushes. Also, make sure to look on your fence line because we have a native lizard here called the western fence lizard, also nicknamed the bluebelly. So we just spotted one of Southern California's most common lizards, the western fence lizard. You can see how they get that name. Oftentimes you can find them resting on a fence. This guy also has the nickname bluebelly lizard because of their, well, blue bellies. Remember to always stay on the pathway. Off-trailing can have a negative impact on the environment. Also, animals like our dangerous rattlesnakes live in these tall grasses, so it's best to keep out. So rocky areas like this one is a great place to spot sunbathing lizards and even rattlesnakes. Another reason it's good to stay on the trail. Streams like this one right here is a great place to find herps like amphibians. Just below the water are hundreds of tadpoles. So I just spotted a lizard sunbathing on one of these rocks behind me. I'm not quite sure what species it is. So what I'm going to do is take a photograph of it and then take that information of size, coloration back to my field guide and figure out later on what species it is. Perfect. So when you're out on a trail and you're trying to find things like snakes along the side of the path, make sure you're moving very, very slowly. If you're just hiking straight down the trail, you're gonna miss all of those animals that could be just right under the bush in the shade. So make sure you just have nice, slow, quiet movements and keep those eyes peeled. So this is a great example of a place where I would look for snakes. So right back in this area, you can see that it's sunny, but also this whole area is protected by these bushes. So a good way to know that you're in an area that has snakes around is by looking at the trail patterns. So this is a potential snake pattern that's crossing the trail. So we just came across a horned lizard right off the pathway. Now, this is a species of special concern, so we don't want to get too close to it. We don't want to harass it in any way, and we definitely don't want to pick it up. But if you notice close to the grasses, you can see a medium-sized lizard with some horns on his head. This is called a horned lizard or a horny toad. You can see how they get their name with those long horns on their head. Now, this species is in decline for a couple of reasons. One being the illegal pet trade. While these guys are really unique, unfortunately they're overtaken from the wild, and that's one of the reasons their numbers have declined. One of the reasons for the horned lizard decline is because of the invasive Argentine ant that is competing for these natural resources that our local species of ants need. Unfortunately, the horned lizard cannot eat this invasive species of Argentine ant. Because they are a species of special concern here in California, it is illegal to harass, handle, or collect this species. So again, just observe with your eyes. Some other herp species you might find throughout Southern California are So let's meet one of our local reptiles right now. This is a rosy boa, a native snake found all throughout Southern California. You can find this species from our coastal habitats all the way to the deserts. Now, in the warmer times of the year, you're going to find these snakes closer to dusk and even into the night. However, during the cooler parts of the year or in the coastal environments, you can find them throughout the day. This is a fairly docile snake species that we have here in San Diego County. It only gets about 3 feet long, and it comes in a variety of colors, but it does get that name from the kind of rosy coloration it has. You can see they're flicking out that tongue. That's actually him sensing his environment. They put that tongue out and collect all the information from the environment, bring it back into their mouths, up into their organ called the Jacobson's organ, and it gives them information like if there's predators or prey around. This harmless snake is docile in nature and is actually really beneficial for our environment because they eat rodents. So think about that next time you're out in the environment and you see a snake. They're just population control for our rodents. Here is another type of reptile you can find in Southern California, but not right here in San Diego. It's called a chuckwalla. This lizard species can be found further east in the desert regions. If you look at its coloration, you can tell he can blend right into his rocky and sandy habitats. This unique-looking lizard is actually a type of iguana. Named after its flat body shape, it uses this shape to run really fast to get away from predators like coyotes and hawks. When running from a predator, they will run into a rock crevice, inflate their lungs to puff up their body, and wedge themselves in so predators cannot get to them. At up to 18 inches long, they are the second largest lizard species we have here in the US. If you're out in the desert habitats like the Mojave Desert, keep your eyes peeled for sunbathing chuckwallas. This is a California king snake, a local snake found right here in Southern California. While California king snakes are found throughout California, other species of king snake are found throughout North America. This non-venomous snake is unique in the fact that it eats venomous snakes like our local rattlesnake. That's how they get the name king snake. Now, if you notice its coloration pattern, they can be browns and blacks, or they can have more vibrant color, but they all have these unique bands to them. Now, what would you guys do if you found one of these snakes in your backyard? My advice? Leave it be. Because these animals eat rattlesnakes, you want them in your yard. The desert tortoise is a threatened species here in Southern California due to habitat loss and human encroachment. They inhabit the Mojave and Sonoran deserts. Since the 1990s, their numbers have declined by 90% in the Mojave Desert. Now, you might not always see them out in the wild, and that's because they spend about 95% of their life in their burrows underground. This species starts off small and grows their entire life, and they can live up to 80 years old. Herping is a great activity for both young and old. Before you go out in the field, there are a few key steps to think about. You'll want to know what you may find, what to look out for, when and where to go, what supplies you need out in the field, and the laws behind herping. Knowing what's in your area and learning some basic natural history of those species is going to help greatly while out in the field. Visit CaliforniaHerps.com to learn about native reptiles and amphibians of Southern California. You can also learn what species you're going to find in the area you wish to explore. Familiarizing yourself with these species is going to help greatly when searching for them in the wild. On this site, you can also learn about the behavior of the species you are looking for. Are you going to find them swimming in the water, taking cover under a bush, sunbathing on a rock, or climbing up a tree? Knowing species' natural behavior is going to help greatly when out in the field. For the best chance to view reptiles and amphibians out in the wild, you'll need to do a little research before you go out in the field. Learning what kind of ecosystems different species live in and what seasons and times of the day they're most active is crucial in spotting them in the wild. On CaliforniaHerps.com, you can search where to find a particular species by utilizing their range map and what type of habitat they live in by searching a particular species. As far as what time of the year is best to go herping, typically amphibians are more active in the cooler months, so November through March, and can be spotted during and right after the rain. Reptiles are more active during the early spring and into the fall. Winter is usually considered an off-season for going out and looking for reptiles, and that's because they utilize the colder times of the year to brumate, which is just like hibernating, but for reptiles. For example, desert tortoises go through brumation, which is a form of hibernation from November to March, where they're underground in their burrows. So that won't be the best time to go out and look for them. The best time would be in the springtime when they come out of those burrows to look for their mates and to forage for food. There are many important items to bring along with you on a field excursion, depending on the environment you go into and the trip's duration, such as a good field guide, proper attire, and plenty of food and water. A good, sturdy pair of hiking boots is essential. Long pants and a long shirt to protect you from the elements, as well as thick socks. Southern California is known for its tall grasses and rocky habitats where rattlesnakes call home. A rattlesnake bite is perhaps the biggest concern for adventuring herpetologists. This is where a good pair of hiking boots, thick socks, and snake guards is fundamental to being safe in the field. Sunscreen, a hat, and a long sleeve shirt are recommended when out in the sun all day. A fishing license is needed for anyone 16 and over that plans on lifting or moving things like rocks. This must be on your body at all times. I always recommend bringing a camera along with you on your herping adventures. Not only do you get to record all of the animals that you spot that day, but you'll have beautiful images to take home, and you're causing less of a disturbance to the environment and to those species. If you're looking for a good field guide, this one is a favorite among herpers of Southern California. A field guide to amphibians and reptiles of the San Diego region by Jeffrey Lem. This book is broken down into snakes, lizards, and amphibians. This guide will describe the habitats, characteristics, biology, and even the conservation status of over 88 amphibians and reptile species found throughout San Diego. Grab a backpack and fill it with other necessities like food, water, a flashlight, and all your field guides. Here is a complete list of what you will need on your herping adventure. Careful research should be done on both local and state laws pertaining to herps. For more information, go to californiaherps.com. Here you can learn all about the regulations pertaining to herps. Every state has their own list of protected species in that area, where it is illegal to handle, harass, or collect these species.